MySQL. You'll remember that I told you that CRUD is an acronym that stands for Create, Read, Update, and Delete. And those are the four main operations that we perform on databases. Now, all the other MySQL that we've been learning, all those other little statements, you don't need to commit those to memory. You can go look those up whenever you need them because you're not going to need them that often. You'll go and set up a database and create a table at the beginning of your project, but then after that, you're not going to be working with them much. You're mostly going to be doing create, read, update, and delete. So this is the syntax that you want to commit to memory. These are the things that are important that you want to stick to because you're going to be using them 90 to 95% of the time, not the other stuff. I still go back and look up some of the particulars of the other syntax some of the time. So let's go take a look at how we do each one of these in MySQL, and let's start not with create, but with read. And the reason why I want to start there is because read is the one that you're going to use the very most. We read back data far more often than we change it. And even when we do go to make a change, we typically read the data before the change and then read the data again after the change to make sure that it's right. So we're going to do lots and lots of database reading. And we're going to do that in MySQL using the select statement. This is a typical syntax for a select statement. Let's walk through it together. So to begin with, we have select. We're saying we're going to select some records from the database. That's telling it to read them. After that, we tell it what columns we want it to include in the data that it brings back to us. An asterisk means bring back all columns. I want to see everything. We could also specify. We could say we just want to see ID, comma, menu name, comma, position, comma. And then any other columns that are there won't be sent back to us. It'll just return those columns. So the asterisk is the one you'll see the most often, but again, you can specify a comma delimited list of column names. And then from table. Now between those two lines, I've got it broken up on two lines. MySQL doesn't mind that, but you're going to want to make sure that there always is a space between those two so that MySQL can tell the difference. And then the from tells it where we're pulling from, and then our table name. And then the next two lines are optional. We could just simply say, show me everything from the table, and it'll return all records to you, all columns. Or we can specify. We can say, show me the rows from the table where something is true. Column is equal to some text. Now notice there's a single equals here. It's not a double equals like we do in PHP. Where column equals some text, and now all rows that match that condition will be returned to us. And then we also can specify the order. Order by, and tell it how we want it to sort it. They don't have to be sorted in the default order. We can have MySQL sort them for us. And so here I've said sort it by column 1, ascending. Ascending means from A to Z. A first, Z last. If we did descending, which would be D-E-S-C, then it would sort them in reverse order, Z first and A last. Then there are lots of other options that we can add to this. Our where statements can be a lot more complex, but this is the basic way that we pull back data from the database. So you're definitely going to want to commit this one to memory because it's the one you're going to be using the most often of anything you do in SQL. So now let's look at how we do a create. And we do that with the SQL insert statement. We say insert into the table name, and then we provide a list of the columns inside parentheses with commas between them that we're going to insert into. We don't have to insert data into every column. We don't have to list them all out, but we're going to list the ones that we're going to be using, followed by the values, and then in parentheses, all the values that should go in those columns. And of course, it's common sense that those values need to be in the same order as the columns. Otherwise, it wouldn't know where to put them. So val1 is going to go into column 1, and val2 will go into column 2. And of course, there need to be the same number of values as there are columns. They're going to need to match up. And that's it. That's all there is to doing an SQL insert statement. Okay, so let's look at an update. So this means that there's already data in the database. We have a row for a record. Let's say it's a customer, and we want to update their address. Well, we do that using the update statement. Update table, set column 1 equal to some text. That's it. Set that column, whatever it is, equal to some text. And if we had more of those, then we would just put a comma followed by additional ones that we wanted to set. So each one would just be a key value pair with the equal sign in between. And then where ID equals 1. Now we don't have to specify this, but most often you will. If we were only updating one row in the table, then we want to specify. We want to say update it where this ID is 37. If we didn't specify that, it would change all of the customers. So suddenly we would have all of our customers with the same address because we didn't specify what ID, what row we were looking for. So be careful about that. And then last of all, we have delete. This is an SQL delete statement. We say delete from table where ID equals 1 or ID equals 37. It's going to delete that row from the database. Now we don't have to use ID as the specifier. We could say delete from table where first name equals Kevin, and then all the rows where Kevin is equal suddenly disappear. They all get deleted all at the same time. It can be very powerful, but most often we're going to be deleting just a single row. We're going to identify it by its unique ID. So those are the 4 main ways that we're going to work with CRUD in MySQL. That's the syntax for it. So you can come back here if you need to refer to it later. We're going to be working on it more over the course of the next few movies.